Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Ana Barragan. I'm the president of CEBE, the Association of Spanish Scientists in Belgium. And this is a joint webinar organized with our colleagues. Alfonso is here from Ireland. And well, this webinar goes into the into the topic of professional development, and in particular for career management skills. We have with us Pedro from Chaperone, and he will tell us about well, what Chaperone can offer you for career management, to improve your career management skills. We thank, of course, our sponsor, Fundación Ramón Areces. And just a quick reminder that we are recording the webinar here, so we can upload it later to our YouTube, so that you know. What else? I think that's all. I can leave the floor to Pedro so he can tell us a bit more. Thank you, Pedro.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for those of you who joined us. I know that we are all a little bit fatigued about these digital meetings, but I'll try to be as informal as possible, and I hope that you're here because you're interested in the topic of career development. Therefore, I hope this webinar is useful for you. I would like to start actually by traveling back in time to the year of 2005 and show you a picture of me and my biology colleagues, graduates, and let you know that among the 80 of us, the majority wanted to be academic researchers. But the truth is that 14 years have passed and less than 10 of us saw that dream come true. I'm one of those 10, but my career is far from being linear. I consider myself lucky. I had a rich career. I worked in industry, for instance, at Supervisor in the UK. I traveled a lot on the path of my academic career. I did my PhD at the Salk Institute in San Diego, California. I did a short postdoc at UCLA in Los Angeles. When I came back to Portugal in 2013, I experienced different roles. I worked as a policy advisor, as an external consultant of the Ministry of Health. I led a professional association, the Alumni Association of my PhD program. And I also led my independent line of research at I3S in the areas of stem cell biology. And more recently, I am also co-founder and director of Chaperone, this startup in the area of career development. And what I'm showing you here looks nice on this PowerPoint slide, or can look nice on a CV, but the truth is that associated with every one of these career transitions, there was a lot of stress, there was a lot of anxiety, and all these transitions were very, very difficult for me to make. And I think this is not the exception these days. This is the rule for the majority of researchers, in the sense that there are no linear careers anymore. The majority of us will have to face many different pivots to make along our career, and many choices to make, many options to explore. And because of this, the way we manage our careers has to be different from the way people manage their careers 20 or 30 years ago. And this is why it is very important for us to have career management skills. And when I mention career management skills, I'm talking about competencies that we gather, that we develop in terms of identifying our existing skills, develop career goals, and take a positive action to enhance our careers. And in science, I think, if I can give examples of these questions, I think some of the questions that are more common can be something like, I need help to write my CV. What is the best place to look for jobs? How can I improve my networking skills? Should I leave academia? I need help managing my research team. Is it okay to quit my PhD? How do I become a medical science liaison? I have a business idea. Where can I find funding? I need help preparing my grant or fellowship application. So all of these are examples, but many more could be given. But the truth is that we need career development towards many points that we have on our daily routines in our career. And these career management skills, they lead to our personal development because we acquire skills and qualities, and our goals in life become more clear, and it's easier to realize or maximize our potential. But they also, obviously, they lead to professional development in the sense that we acquire and develop skills that we need to be more effective in the workplace. And the truth is, all of this has been lacking in science in the past years. And there was the recognition, the official recognition, or one of the most important recognitions of the importance of this topic, I think was at the level of the European Union with the draft of the European Charter for Researchers that was signed by more than 12,000 institutions from more than 41 countries. And it was very clear in the European Charter for Researchers that institutions must provide continuous development of skills and competencies to their scientists, and career advice and job placement assistance. And this was more than 10 years ago. And despite this strong commitment of most of the institutions that signed this code of conduct, the truth is that the majority of scientists still don't have access to career development services. Actually, we made a survey, an international survey, and 2 out of 3 scientists told us that they don't have access through their institution to career development services. And this is impacting our economy and our society. I think for the audience of today, I don't need to explain this in much detail because we all experienced the lack of career development and saw it impacting our careers and the careers of our colleagues. But the truth is that this can lead to a very negative impact on our productivity, or if we say it in the other way, if we have career development, this could lead to a higher productivity of scientists, a better well-being, an increased employability, and also lower risk of scientist misconduct and less exposed to bullying and harassment. So problems that we know that are present in academia these days and could be fought with providing the proper career development to scientists. Also, very importantly, we know that this career uncertainty has been named as one of the most important causes of mental illnesses that are very common in academia, such as depression, stress, anxiety, and burnout. In academia, it has been estimated that 2 out of 5 academics throughout their career are affected by depression caused by work-related problems, which is an incidence 4 times bigger than the overall population. And this problem is not getting better. I don't know if you saw, but the recent data, the postdoc survey that Nature did in 2020 estimated that 51% of researchers are considering leaving active research due to work-related mental health problems. And 56% of postdocs mentioned that they have a negative view of their career outlook. And 50% believe that the pandemic has negatively affected their career prospects. So this leaves us with no room for not actions to be implemented. We have to act now and act fast. And this problem that I described you has been on my mind and on the mind of Joanna, which joined me as co-founder of Chaperone. So when we started thinking about the idea of Chaperone, we basically spent 2 years studying this problem, meeting with different board of directors, meeting with career development specialists, meeting with scientists, trying to understand why career development was not reaching to the majority of the scientists, and what could be done to provide novel tools for more effective tools for this growing problem in international science. And we came up with this idea and this ambition of making an online marketplace of personalized career services for scientists. It seems like a quite ambitious goal, but we think it could lead to a much better or a much modern solution to alternatives that are currently in place in terms of career development. So basically our solution is an online platform where researchers can browse and book career development sessions with career consultants, and have those sessions online in an individual format, one-to-one, and from the comfort of their homes, meaning that a scientist in Belgium can have a career consultant session with a consultant in the US, or a scientist in India can have a session with a consultant in Japan, you name it. And I see that we have already some polls. Feel free to interact. We can use that data also to understand better the audience and to get a better sense of questions that might be interested. And I'll leave some room at the end for some Q&A. And feel free, if you have any burning question, to write on the chat. And I'll ask Alfonso or someone from the organization to let me know if there are questions popping up. I'm happy to interrupt my talk to answer those questions during this. So basically what we built is what we can say similar to Airbnb, but instead of booking apartments, we book career sessions. It's a place where you find a wide range of high quality consultants available for booking, a fast and easy booking system to operate, accessible anytime, anywhere, possibility to do anonymous sessions if you want, and also to bring some more trustiness in terms of the booking. We have user ratings, so you can monitor the success rate of that consultant in terms of the satisfaction of the sessions he or she performed. These days, we don't book a hotel, or we don't book a restaurant without looking at the ratings. So I think in here that it's the same rationale. Obviously, we were very concerned about the quality of our services. So everyone that is in our platform is specialized in science careers. They are selected based on referrals that we have on our meetings with different institutions. And they work with prestigious institutions such as Harvard, Imperial College, UCL, MIT, Karolinska, etc. And importantly, so far, people are quite happy with the sessions that they've been doing in our platform. Our average user rating is 4.9. So we are quite happy with the quality of our service so far. At this point, I would like to stop a little bit in terms of talking about our solution, but also chat with you a little bit about the importance of different areas of career management that I believe are very important. And I was not aware in like 5 years ago. I definitely was not very aware of all these different areas, and I think they are very important. First, I would like to call your attention for the two areas that I think are more familiar to you, which are supervision and mentoring. So everyone knows what a supervisor does. I would like to say that mentoring is not necessary. A mentor doesn't have to be our supervisor. Our supervisor is linked to certain responsibilities that a mentor does not necessarily does, and I will explain this in a little bit more detail in the next slides. But at this point, I would like to call your attention to the fact that in addition to supervision and mentoring, we should have skills in terms of searching for career information, in terms of getting career advice, in terms of getting career counseling, and getting career coaching as well. It's not, when I mention this, is not to say that we need to be actively doing all of this while we manage our careers, but at a certain point in our careers, we will probably need career advice, we'll need career counseling, we'll need career coaching, and we will need access to career information as a complement to whatever supervisors or mentors we have already working with us. So supervisor is someone that guides us through the requirements of our position. When we start a PhD, when we start a postdoc, we have a supervisor that is assigned to us, and that person is responsible for setting out our expectations, provide us feedback on the results of our experiments and our progress in terms of the project. And that person is basically the person in charge of completing that we complete the milestones of our project in a timely manner. This is the main responsibilities of the supervisor. And this is different from a mentor, because the mentor is someone that we look for a more continuous type of support, obviously by someone who is more senior or more experienced, but is in opposition to the supervisor, is more focused on our long-term growth as opposed to like the goals of our project. And they're also worried or focused or trying to help us in terms of our development, in terms of the personal, professional, and career levels. Our supervisor can be our mentor, and it's great if our supervisor accumulates these roles as our mentor as well, but it doesn't have to be. And we can have multiple mentors guiding us in our career. Access to career information these days is crucial. It's not very difficult to get career information because internet facilitates all of this. But since we are exposed to many sources of data, I think that the main secret here is how to curate that information. How do we know that we find the right information for the resources, courses, occupations, or career paths that we need at the right time without spending too much time looking for it? And that is a very important skill to develop as well. Then I would like to talk a little bit about career advisors. So career advisors are someone who have experience in achieving what we want to achieve, meaning that these interactions will typically be short, one-off or short-term, and driven by specific questions or goals. For example, I did my PhD in the US. I can give career advice for people who want to do their PhD in the US in terms of what are the fellowships that they can apply, what are the visas that they will be required to have to work there, how to choose a lab there, how is the academic environment in the US compared to, let's say, Portugal or Spain or any other European country. But this could be other type of advice as well. For instance, we can talk about a scientist that translated to a role as a project manager in a company. That person can give advice on how they made that transition, what type of courses they had to make, what kind of recruiters he contacted, how did that person change his CV, what salaries it can be expected from those roles, and so on. So these are all like advice type of interactions. And they are different from another role, another important type of career development, which are driven by career counselors. So these are people that they are either from human resources or psychology, or in certain countries, such as England or Australia, there is specific training for career counseling. They are called career guidance practitioners. And these experienced professionals are keen in identifying our skills, our attributes and interests, and aligning those with our career options. So they help us understand our barriers and think about what we can do next, building self-awareness and self-confidence. So just to remind you that the advisor is not necessarily worried if the decision that you made is the best decision for you or not. He's just worried about sharing his expertise, what worked for that particular experience, but is not necessarily having the same approach as a career counselor, who will be much more focused on helping you make the right decision. And lastly, we can talk about career coaching, which is a very important topic as well. And the best analogy that I can make is with personal trainers in the gym, or a sports coach. So this is someone who will work with us in our goals, like those goals are their individual goals as well, their own goals as well. They will work on finding the best strategies for us to excel at the highest level, working on tasks and actions that will lead us to achieve our goals. And this is something, for instance, that a lot of scientists do when they're applying to very specific applications, in terms of preparing for interviews, in terms of also when they want to gain skills of leadership. And it's becoming a lot common in a lot of scientific institutions to use this type of career development as well. I'm entering my final slides so that we have a lot of time to discuss in the end. But I wanted to share with you some of the future trends that I believe will shape the future in the way we manage our careers in science. I think we are moving from understanding career development as something that we need to jumpstart our career to something that it's a lifelong need, something that we will constantly do reskilling and upskilling of our competencies. And it's something that is for those who are looking for jobs outside academia, but not only those. It's also for those who want to stay in academia, and also for those who don't know yet what to follow. In terms of the second trend, which is aligned with what I've shared in the previous slides, we're moving from a vision where my supervisor is the only person that can help me in my career, to embracing the importance of different specialists and their skills and how they can help us and complement the work of our supervisor. The third future trend that I think will also be very, very important is that we're moving from career development offices where you find like a single person in an office that I could add is in a dark room with a very old PC, to holistic career support that values diversity, inclusion, and hyper-personalization. And to achieve this, we will have to combine internal services of career development with external services. We'll have to combine in-person support with online support, and we will have to combine formal and informal learning as a strategy for our reskill and upskill. Lastly, we'll also have to try to accommodate for a high diversity of technical expertise in different languages and cultural representation in terms of the people who can support us in our career. The fourth trend that I would like to share is that we're moving from an inequality to a democratized access. And what I mean by this is that career development shouldn't be something that the top-notch institutions provide. It should be something that it's accessible to all institutions or to the majority of these institutions, either if they are top-notch or if they are a small institute in a developing country. For this, we'll need to have resource sharing and collaborative actions for sure, and explore the full potential of the digital solutions that allow us to get to different places in a very fast and economic manner. Lastly, and I think as scientists we cannot ignore this, we must move from high carbon producing solutions to environment sustainability. I remember going to a career development workshop or a training that lasted 3 days, and we were 15 postdocs. We traveled to Central Europe and we did 2 days of training, and all of us came from different places. All of us flew by plane. The trainers flew by train as well, and we came back, and like the amount of CO2 that we produced, it just to have like 10, 15 hours of training is not compatible anymore. We must have in-person support, but we cannot sustain such high or heavy production solutions to provide career development. And all of this is aligned with the Chaperone vision, a vision where a world is possible, where each and every scientist has access to high quality career development support. And as mentioned in the beginning, we are happy to sign a partnership with your professional association. If you are interested in having a 5% discount in our platform, please contact your professional association asking for more details. And with that, I would like to close, and please ask me questions. I'm much more comfortable debating with you than just me talking alone. Thank you very much, and that's it.
Thank you, Pedro. Maripaz just joined. She was working till now. Maripaz is the responsible of the Committee for Professional Development in our association. I encourage everybody to ask their questions in the chat or in the questions and answer part. I did a poll while Pedro was talking, and I think the results are interesting because, so the first question was, where do you work? Industry, academia, institutions, or others? And it turns out that 71% of people here work in academia, followed by 24% working in institutions. Then the second question was if you are thinking to redirect your career in the close future. And I think Chaperone has some work to do because 65% answer a yes. So people is actually thinking about, doing a change in their career path. Maybe some people is interested in some of the specific points that you mentioned. Feel free to ask.
Good to have these kind of sessions, and especially having this kind of service, because personally I find out doing my PhD, why I want to do a PhD, because it's a normal path. Everyone follows the path of doing a PhD, and nobody knows what's the advantage or disadvantage of having a PhD. It's good for your career if you want to move higher, Okay, so you enter in the PhD and the normal path is again, you will go to postdoc. Why? Because everyone does a postdoc. And then you are, after 10 years doing postdocs, thinking, I'm still a postdoc and I want to go work now in industry, how I should go into industry. Oh, I don't want you from industry because you are coming from academia. And the other way around, you're coming from academia, I want to move into industry. Sorry, the other way around, industry, I want to move into academia. No, because you haven't published anything. So I think this discussion with somebody that knows different paths, different options, I think this is an eye-opening. And I think this is really important. And to be honest, I found myself really in that situation where what I want to do with my life. And because I have one supervisor, not my PhD supervisor, an external supervisor telling me I was crap in research. At the end of my PhD, I said, look, this is what I'm doing. After all these years, you cannot tell me I'm not good scientist. And she told me, you have this other option. And I applied for my job and I was lucky to get my position. And I think that was the best advice in my life. So I think this is something that at some point somebody has to talk with you. Somebody has to talk with their friends. They have to talk with, but I think it's important that they think about themselves as well, what they're good at and what they want to do with their lives. Are you interested to be sitting in a lab page doing pipetting, or are you good with computers, or you want to be in a car driving all around the world, talking with customers to optimize their protocols? And I think this is part of what you're offering, is sitting with them and having these kind of conversations. Am I right, Pedro?
You are absolutely right, and you touched on so many points that I personally felt them also, like throughout my career. The aspect of the importance of getting different sources of advice. This is very important. Sometimes it's important for people to know and talk openly about this, that sometimes supervisors are biased. They are biased because they want to work with people that want to stay in academia and want to work with them. So therefore they cannot be a good person or the best person or the only person that you should talk to if you're considering leaving academia, for instance. You should talk to other people, or if they never left academia, probably they don't know a lot about that. Like I remember when I first started, I worked in 2 different labs, and I was applying for different PhD programs, and all my applications, they failed. I was not getting the PhD positions that I wanted. And at that point, I said, well, I was still very early on my career. I wanted to be academic research, but I said, let's try industry to see, maybe it works better that way. And I remember my supervisor told me, if you go to industry, that's a path of no return. There's no way you're going to go back to academia. And he told me, like, as blunt as this. And for me, that was a young researcher, really motivated to do academic research. This scared me a lot, because I was like, I'm making a life decision that's going to affect all my career. And then the truth is that I went to Pfizer to work in a pharmaceutical company. And 1.5 years, I was in California doing my PhD. I was back in academia doing a PhD. And there's that advice was terrible. Like, that is far from being true. But yeah, it's important that you talk to different people and talk openly about that. And yeah.
And there are lots of different things and different aspects, and it's all based on what you like, what you want to do. Do you want to be home with your kids, or do you want to be traveling around, or do you want to be talking with different groups or research groups, or do you want to be focused into your own research, or just basically improving a particular instrument? So I think it's quite important that you think about yourself and what you want to do. And this has to be taken seriously before going and preparing your CV and applying for a job, because those are questions that they will ask you. How do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I don't know. Here.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Alfonso, because most of the people, including myself, many times in my career, is like, yeah, I start to apply for jobs, but I don't know, this one sounds good, but is it what you want to do? I don't know. You have to first, stop and say, okay, press the break, think about it. What do you want to do? Once you know that, then start putting together your CV, not the other way around. And it's what everyone does, with what we all do, until someone helps us to see what's the right way. And also about what the academia industry, all that's a bit what we want to break from CEBE with all these events. Like, if you have been doing this, doesn't mean that you will have to continue, as you said, like PhD, postdoc, and then this normal usual career path that nowadays I think is just starting to change. Like, now we are more open-minded, and industry and in universities start to change their view on this. Like, now it's very common. It's starting to be very common to see people switching from one side to the other. And I don't think there is a general way that works for everyone. So I don't think this is something you can learn or that you can find in a Google search how to do this. I think you need someone to coach you to see, okay, this is how I did it. Someone that did the path that you want to follow, and that's okay. Let's see how you could reach the same way.
I think what Alfonso started and Maripaz complemented very, very well is that we are limited by our knowledge in terms of exploring our options. And this is also linked with the question that came up in the Q&A, which is if there is a website or tool for the options that the PhD can have. And when I say we are limited by our options, I mean, if we have scientists like Leah that made this question, that only know one or two paths, you only consider those two paths because that's what you know. But as you know more options and you become more aware of how those options work, and you better understand the other important aspect is to understand yourself, meaning that you identify what are your values, how do you like to work, what type of work do you enjoy, what are your competencies, meaning what kind of different jobs you will be able to do with the competencies that you have right now, and how can you align those two things, that you find a job where you can do the job and you're happy at the same time. And for that, I think it's very difficult to do that alone because you need the help of many people. And I don't have a website that you can look for all the options, but I can send you by email for Leah. If you email me, maybe I'll put my LinkedIn here, and people can contact me on LinkedIn, and I can send that list. Let me put here in the chat. I think should be okay. Just a second. And
so one of the things, and again, back into probably what things that you're doing with a person that is trying to develop their CV, is looking at their skills. And what I found is people that they are extremely talented, not just in the lab, they don't see themselves that way. And you can see that they have many other skills. So for instance, we have people that they are fantastic with networks, and we see people that they are fantastic trying to put presentations together or reviewing and reading papers. Those are areas that if you link them correctly, you have a path that is really nice. So you can have reviewers or grants. We have people that is doing the animations for movies to illustrate how a drug is working, or these kind of movies, scientific movies, that they are really, really important, or social skills that you need to connect groups or different areas. Or we have now this diplomatic career where science is important, so science and diplomacy. And when you're looking at your CV, you're writing, I'm good doing Western blot and ELISA, and I'm good with imaging. But what about you? What are your extra talents? What makes you different? And you have to think about what I'm good at, what I like to do, and how I can put them together. And again, when you're putting all that information together, suddenly you can see a niche where you can work, or a new area that you haven't explored before. And again, Pedro, correct me if I'm wrong, this is something that you do with this kind of service, correct?
Correct. And going back to Leo's question, I forgot to ask, I don't have a website, I mean, in terms of all those options, but I can name you a lot of them that I see a lot of people transition to, such as like project manager in different roles, such as business development of different companies, as entrepreneurs founding their own projects, in science communication, in science outreach, in science engagement, in government agencies working in policy development, as consultants, for instance. Also a lot of in the area of biomedical research, there's a lot of demand for medical science license, for instance. So many, like data scientists, it's also like a huge demand these days. Communication and community managers as well. A lot of people transition to that. And the truth is that we cannot name all of these as alternative careers, because we know the data from the majority of the countries tell us that only 5 to 10% maximum of people stay in academia in the long term. So 90% or 95%, depending on the country, will have to transition to a different role outside of academia. So this is, we need to meet and to know those 95% of people, and not focus on the 5% that we know. Otherwise, like, we will not be, we'll be ignoring 90% of our possibilities. Yeah.
Pedro, I see that Leah has raised a hand. Maybe she want to talk. I can allow to talk, I think.
Of course.
You can talk now, Leah, if you want to ask a question.
And at this stage, if you want to allow everyone to talk, that's fine with me.
I think I need to go one by one, right?
I actually did it by mistake. But no, thanks for the answer. I asked because I already did a career counseling session in my institute, and I had the feeling that now that because I'm searching for a job, and I know a bit more, I have the feeling that, for example, that session was not complete, because she gave me the options based on some attitude tests that I did. But now it's 1 year later, and I'm experiencing a bit more what means searching for a job, and I found jobs that I thought, oh, okay, this is nice, and she didn't propose it to me. So of course, she did her best, I'm sure, but I think would be nice the moment that you start to search, to discover, to have, I don't know, a panel of possibilities that you can even check, because sometimes the name doesn't describe the job. So, or there is something that I don't know. And for example, I discovered recently the medical writing.
Yeah, that's
something that I would be really interested in, but I discovered it by myself almost randomly. So that's why I asked that question, because sometimes it's nice to do these counseling sessions, but maybe 1 year ago, I was not the person that I'm now. So, and these things takes months because you have to do a big work on yourself. So that's why I asked the question if there is a place where you can even, like, one by one check the options, even based on your evolution.
Yeah, I just put there a few that we recently had to include a few in a post that we did for a partner that we have, and obviously the options are many more than this, but it already includes quite a few. You can start with there, but I'm happy to send you other ones if you email me. But medical writing actually is there in the other in the other paths as well.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Leah, one of the things you have to think is it's never too late. Okay.
Yeah.
So if 1 year ago they gave you some options, you try what you think or what you thought that was probably the best option, and now you, as you said, you change. Your life changed, your style of life changed. For all of us, COVID has changed us as well. So we have to reinvent the wheel. So I think there's one moment where you have to think, okay, let's try something else. Because what is important is not just paying the bills, it's also that you feel happy with what you're doing. And
Absolutely.
look, for the boys, I think that you're still too young for changing things. So I think that's the right time for changing and trying things. And I have friends they have tried industry, they have moved into academia, they back again to a company that they are selling instrumentations, and they didn't like selling because sometimes you have to lie, and they don't want to lie, but they've learned how to lie, what they can offer and what not to offer. So you're learning something else. So in every path you learn something, you have a new skill, you have a new knowledge that you can transfer into the other one. And some of them, they move back again to the academia. And the advantage, if you're working in an industry and you're back to the academia, is that you know something else, which is applicability. And sometimes in academia, we are too focused in, I want to discover every single thing, and you're not too practical. So again, I think that it's never too late for changing, unless that you're super happy. Okay, you have a fantastic job, you're a permanent position forever, then that's fine. Don't move, don't take that off. But if you're not, try. And especially what I would do is talk to people that is in that particular field before I move. Tell me advantage, tell me disadvantage. What's the good thing and what's the bad thing of your job? What you don't like? Because
I completely agree.
that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, honestly, I think what you're saying, Alfonso, I don't think that a test is of course, it's gonna help you a little bit, maybe to know yourself. But I think what will help you more to see what you want to do in life, it's try something, doesn't work. Okay, for example, selling, I tried selling. I didn't like to lie, but I like to talk with a lot of different people. Okay, then move to something else that is not selling, but you have to contact, this, and that way, and as you say, it's never too late. So I think the more you try things, the more you discover what you like, and at the end you find, okay, this is what I really want to do in life. And you follow that path. And it can happen with 20, with 30, or with 50 years, so you never know.
Exactly.
So
and sometimes
Pedro was saying that this transition is also, it costs you also, no? Like emotionally, stress. Do you think there is a way also, like we can learn to not to be afraid of this transition, and also to make it easier when that happens? Because then we can navigate, as Maripat was saying, until we find what we like. But sometimes what it stops us is that we are afraid of making that change.
Yeah,
right?
that's a very important point. So there's, I believe, in the majority of the institutions environment, I don't necessarily say the majority, but in a lot of institutions, there's still a stigma towards doing career development. People are perceived as weak if you are getting help by others to advance your career, to gain new skills. It's sad, but it's true in many institutions. We know about career development offices that have been placed outside of the research institutions so that people were not being seen entering the career development office. Therefore, a lot of people would go to the career development office. We know about the career development office that told us that the peak hours are 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. because people want to go at the time when they will not be seen. We know about cases of people paying for the career development session and not showing up after paying because they were afraid of being seen by their supervisor, going to workshop. And all of this stigma must be fought. Like we in other areas, in other sectors, this is so normal. We have an MBA student getting advice from the career development. We have the CEOs of top companies being coached on how to be better leaders. Why we academics cannot be helped by we have the most famous and most skilled football players, they have coaches to help them evolve. So why can't we have help from other professionals in terms of becoming better professionals? And once we get rid of that stigma, then we are much more open to evolve. And I think that's the most important thing, I think, regarding your question, Anna, that people are not afraid and start exploring and learn more about themselves and are willing to grow. Because it's and a practical example, again, I have many practical examples. When I was finishing my PhD, I was feeling a little bit what Alfonso said, that my research was too fundamental, not very applied. And I said, no, I need something to be more applied research. But I still like a lot of fundamental research. So I start looking for jobs in tech transfer offices, because I thought, okay, tech transfer, you deal with research, but you're working on applying that research or with patents and so on. So this should be ideal for me. But I was naive because I didn't talk with anyone working in that field. I just simply started applying for jobs in tech transfers and internships. And actually I was successful in one, and I was offered an intern position in a tech transfer office. And the first day I entered, I remember this, the first day I entered in that internship was the day at the end that I was talking with the main supervisor and telling him, look, this is not for me, I'm sorry. And I was offered the position because I understood from my intro day that I would be dealing with a lot of bureaucracy, with a lot of legal stuff to deal, a lot of documents and to read, a lot of laws. And I just look for jobs without talking with people that work in that area, without thinking whether that would be good for me or not. I didn't invest time in terms of that transition. I just did it, and I paid the cost of that because I lost a lot of time in terms of making my applications. I lost a little bit in terms of my reputation because I was offered a position in the first day. I had to confess that I was not good for that. And so I think we need to know that we need to invest time in terms of preparing ourselves for our transitions. And that's important comment for your question.
We have a question from Stefan. I will read it out loud. Because I think not everyone sees it, in case the advice is good for someone else. So the question from Stefan is, hi, thank you for your talk. I'm trying to transition to industry now after doing my PhD, but I'm very much stuck between being over and underqualified. People don't hire me for jobs that I can easily do from my experience during my PhD because I will get bored, but don't hire me for less boring jobs because I don't have enough industry experience. I'm doing different courses online now, but they still don't really give me practical enough experience that qualify me for the job. Do you have any advice there? Thank you. Yes. Alfonso? I don't know if you...
I don't know if you want to start.
Well, first of all, I'm going to put here in the chat a link for the Harvard Competencies Dictionary. It's a good tool for you to read and think about your experience as a scientist, what competencies you can identify that you do in your daily job, and that could be translated to a job in business. I'm talking about project management, leadership, ability to influence, negotiation, communication skills. I mean, it's a dictionary. You have a lot of time to explore that. But try, like, what sometimes people feel that they are underqualified because they don't know how to identify. They read a skill that is needed and they feel, I don't have it. And sometimes you do have it. Like sometimes you're applying for a job is like you need good communication skills. And I have scientists telling me, but I don't have good communication skills. I don't have experience in this. And I mean, you have publications in journals. You wrote blog posts. You've wrote elaborated reports. you gave oral and poster presentations. You don't have communication skills. How come? Like sometimes it's the identification. Then if that is step one. Step two is that you should, if you're looking for a very specific business type, there are ways to complement your education by doing like online courses. Some of them are for free on platforms such as Coursera or LinkedIn training also. And I'm forgetting the other one that it's more, it's EDU, something EDU. But anyway, there are, if you look for on Udemy, Udemy, my girlfriend helped me. Udemy, it's another one that has online courses. Sometimes, like for instance, they have courses on financial analysis, data scientist. You can do them, they're online for free, and it's a very good way to showcase that you already invested time in getting those skills. And yeah, that would be step two, and then to make sure that your CV is good in terms of those transitions. That apart from that, there are not many other things to do in terms of making sure that you are not seen as underqualified when you're not.
I was thinking of a couple of things. I was in the same situation. I finished my degree, and then they told me that I have to do a PhD to work in an industry. So I did my PhD, and they told me that I was overqualified to work in that industry, which is quite funny. So at the end, what is happening? What is happening is that you look at the position that is advertised, you send your CV, and somebody from HR read your CV, and they will make the first shortlisting. And the first shortlisting is somebody that has no clue the job that you will do. And what they are looking is for keywords. You have to be this, and you have to do this, and you have to know this. So what you have to check, and this is what one of the things that they are asking you, is to personalize your introduction letter and your CV. You have to go into your CV and say, I have this. Yes. So you write it. I need somebody with good oral skills. I have really good oral skills because I present my PhD. And you need to dance. I'm really fantastic dancer. You have to cover every single thing. And if you don't know something, but they are asking for that, imagine flow cytometry. I never heard about flow cytometry, but that's the dream of my life. I want to learn it. Okay. Those are things, because the word is there, your CV move on, okay? And there's something that I really learned during these years. I don't care how good the person is qualified now. I want to know that this person wants to work. Attitude is everything. Because in my lab here, I can face lots of different people, and you can see who wants to work and who doesn't want to work. And that's really simple to identify. And I don't care if they're underqualified, because I can train them. But I can train one person that wants to learn. I can train anyone that wants to work. What I cannot do is somebody that already knows everything. And this is above everything. Okay? So it's an attitude, and this is something that you have to think twice. Do I want to go for that job because this is something I want to learn? If I don't have those skills already, can I get them? How difficult would it be for me to be trained on that? It's something that I really want to do. If so, I will specify that as well in my cover letter. I haven't done this, but I really want to learn it because it complements the other things. And I think with this and this and this, I can easily complement whatever is coming out from here, because these three things are coming together usually. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, perfect. And just to finish what Alfonso said, in my CV training, sometimes what I say is that, and very much in line with what Alfonso said, when you apply for a job, it's not about showcasing what you're best of. It's about convincing that person that you can help that person. That person has a need. Like if you're hiring for a business developer, that person is in need for someone who helps the business grow. If that person is hiring for a science communication role, that person needs someone to help them in the communication aspect of that project. So you need to make sure that when you apply, you are convincing enough that you can help that person, that you are the best person to help for that specific need. And that's very different from showcasing what you're best of, because sometimes you have to leave stuff that you're very good at, sorry. But you have to leave it off because it's not important. It's not relevant for that position. And I see many applications of PhD, recent PhDs, putting the Nature paper. They have a Nature paper. It's fantastic. And it is 5-6 years of work invested in that. But if you're applying for a business development role and that has nothing to do with that paper, forget it. Don't put it like in the very first thing, because they will not care, and actually it will hurt your chances. And it's never about you. It's always about them. And yeah, that's a very important advice. So thank you, Alfonso, for that.
There's something else I didn't want to miss out. And it's that when the person wants to hire you, the wish list is I want the best out of the best. But then there is the short list, and the best out of the best is not there. Okay, there's something else that is missing in every single person. No, it's quite hard to get the full list into one person. So if you're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 things of what they are asking, still apply. You could be lucky. Okay, and I will go to underqualify rather than overqualify, because there will be more under than over. So fish high, don't fish low, okay? Pedro?
More questions or not?
Okay, let's see. So Stefan said, wow, those are really great pieces of advice. Thank you for the links. And there is Olmo Nieto, who said, an advisor once told me to apply if you can tick 20% of the competencies they ask for. I think it's a good rule. I think so.
I think so, but I think you should have that attitude, but at the same time, always try, like if they have a list of like 5 competencies that they look at, try the best way possible to showcase that you can do those, that you have those skills. So think, it's like if in the editorial of the open position, they mentioned that they want people with good work ethics, with good team management skills, with good communication skills, with good skills in, let's say, statistics. So you should go to your background, and even if you feel like you don't have it, try to get the closer that you find to showcase that you have it. But don't stop if you don't necessarily think that you have like well-developed skills on one thing or two. Still apply, and just yeah.
But at the same time, be careful and don't oversell yourself, okay? Because if you're telling me that you're an expert on these, and suddenly you have, usually in the panel, they will have experts on that, asking you the key questions.
Of course.
So be careful. Say, well, I've done it a little bit, but I've done it. If somebody teach me, I'm sure I can do it. But at the moment, I'm not the expert. If you're not the expert, don't sell yourself as the expert on that. Okay, so be honest at the same time that you're trying to sell yourself.
Yeah, there's a very good emoji that, not an emoji, like a memo that I've seen regarding that, which is a dog in like getting surrounded by sheep, like almost packed, and the title is what happens when you lie in your CV about your application. So so he could not control the sheep at all. So yes, have that attitude of finding the the right competencies that you have for the job. But if you don't have them, don't try to make it up. Never. If you don't have them, you don't have them. That's it. And be honest about it, of course. Never, 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 never lie on a CV. Never. Because that will eventually show up, and you're going to be the one who suffer the most. Yeah. And honesty is very, very, very important. We have a question from Rebecca, right?
Yeah, Rebecca. I was wondering about questions about personal life during interviews. I'm planning to move abroad, and I have been asked if I'm moving alone or with partner or family.
That depends on the country that you're applying. In some countries, that's very, and it's not legal at all to make those questions. And if those questions are asked, you should report them to the institution, or to even to external entities, because they are not legal. For instance, questions whether you're pregnant or not, or if you're considering to have kids, if you are married or not, like those type of questions. I would say in many countries it's illegal, and in those where it's not, it should be, because it's not okay to ask for those kind of questions. So I think always try to come up with a positive attitude out of those questions, letting people know that those questions do not impact the way you are as a professional, and those are personal aspects, and therefore you are not necessarily, you don't have to answer those questions, I believe. At least that's my opinion, unless they come in a very specific situation. For instance, they offer a package for relocation that accommodates for partners, and that's a very operational type of question regarding if they want to have funds for it. It also comes up with the context where those questions comes, if they come out of the blue, or if they come with a certain context that makes those type of questions okay.
And sometimes they just want to help you. They're interested on you, yeah, as a researcher or as a scientist, and they want to attract you. They're making those comments just to tell you that they have something to offer you. For instance, yeah, in Porto, there is a INL, the Institute of Nanotechnology Lab. They have the kindergarten as part of the institute. So a way to attract is saying, well, look, you're young, you have a partner, you're planning to come, and we can accommodate your family here. You have your kindergarten just beside us. So it's kind of the other way around, rather than I don't want you. It's just here you have the right place to come. So as Pedro, you're saying, depending on the context.
And if you don't know the context, or it's not very clear, you can ask. Like you can say, "Oh, that's an interesting question. I was wondering on what this can impact my evaluation, or why can you explain me a little bit better on why you think this is an important context for this interview?" And then that person can explain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are there any other questions from the attendees?
So Pedro, you mentioned all these 5% discount. Both of us, SEBE and SRA, we have it. This for our members. Can you make an extra comment on that if you want? Or how they can apply for these, or how we can do it?
Yeah, I think, well, I as I mentioned, I worked in professional associations, so I think it's a great way to be involved and to get professional development also out of professional associations. And that's why we think at Chaperone, we know the role of professional associations in terms of scientific communities, and how to empower scientists, particularly when we are expatriates. and I've been an expatriate for 6 years. I definitely know how they can be like our second family, also in terms of support. And that's why we make partnerships with professional associations in the form of discount of our services. And it's also serves as an extra incentive for you to get involved with your professional associations. The best way, I think, at this point is that if you're interested in benefiting from 5% discount in our platform, is to contact your professional association representative or general contacts. Maybe you can share them here, and ask for the voucher of discount, and then we share it with a professional association, and therefore you can get access to that discount. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, and if you have any further questions, feel free. Sorry, if you have any further questions, feel free. I shared my LinkedIn. You can send me a message through there, and I'm happy to reply to those questions as well. Sorry, Maripaz.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say that I'm just writing the email of Sebe okay. in the chat, in case they have questions, they can also come to us.
Good.
Okay. It seems there are no further questions, so I don't know if there is any other remark, any topic you would like to tackle, or should we close here?
Maybe with this we can close. As Pedro said, people can always contact him if they have questions regarding all the programs. And yeah, thank you everybody for attending the webinar. Thank you our colleagues from Ireland, and thank you Pedro, of course, for answering all questions and being here tonight.
Thank you very much, and wishing you a better 2021 for everyone. hoping we get better soon.
Thank you very much,
okay.
all of
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.